So I love this time of year. My garden is coming into full bloom and a fantastic trading opportunity is going into full bloom as well at this particular moment in time. It's to do with the way that we have seasonality within racing and the way that the season develops, and it can present some of the biggest opportunities for me over the course of the year. In the next 6 weeks from recording this video, I will have an absolutely massive trade of stupendous proportions, and it's purely down to what I'm about to talk about in this video. I've been successfully betting and trading for over 2 decades. If you want more videos like this and you want me to describe more of what I do, then give us a like. If you want to talk to like-minded people, visit the BetAngel forum where you can do exactly that, but also visit our website where you can download a free trial of BetAngel. So I love this time of year because there are many things to look forward to. The garden is coming into full bloom and there are some blooming good markets available for you to trade if you know where to look. Because at this time of year, there are some really good quality opportunities at relatively low risk. So when my garden looks like this, it must mean that it's spring. And spring brings an opportunity for us within the horse racing markets as well, because it's the time of year that 2-year-olds come out to race. These horses haven't raced before, probably haven't seen a race course before, and this is their first opportunity to impress upon the world exactly how good they are. So when I sit down to trade, the first thing I do is I fire up Guardian, I load up all of the day's racing in Guardian, and I start scanning down, looking for anything interesting or unusual on the card. But one of the things I'm looking for particularly at this time of the year is a maiden race, or sometimes a novice race. And that is because, just like every other athlete in every other sport, horse races have a certain type of career path to go through. And horses that have never raced before or have never seen a race course are likely to show up in maiden or novice races. And those particular markets are of great interest to me. So when you see a maiden or novice race on Guardian, what you're actually looking at there is a race, for example, on a maiden where the horse has never won before. So that could be one of 2 different types of races. It could be a race where there are lots of horses that have just not won and they're racing in an attempt to be the first time that they've ever won. Or it could be that they have never seen a race course before, because at this time of year, the 2-year-olds come out and they're put into maidens where they can start to work towards an official rating. And once you get a rating, you can then start racing in handicaps. If we look at novice races, these are horses that haven't won this season. So technically it could be a horse that has never seen a race course, but it could also be a different type of horse. So it's important to differentiate between maidens and novice races. But I'll tell you why and they behave in a similar sort of pattern in a second. But fundamentally speaking, what I'm looking for is preferably a maiden where none of the horses have raced before, or very few of them, because that presents a unique type of opportunity. Now, it's perfectly possible to add additional information into BetAngel on your one-click screen or the ladder. I tend to use the one-click screen to have a quick overview of the market because it displays it all in a neat, nice sort of layout for you, so you can have a quick glance at what you're looking at. But it's very simple to add in form, but also the age of the horse, because of course a 2-year-old horse must be very young and maybe the first time it's ever walked out on a course. Sometimes you'll see maidens with 3-year-olds as well. It just depends when they were foaled. But if you want to add that information to BetAngel, just let me show you how easy it is to do. So when you start up BetAngel, this is the sort of screen that you would likely see. And it's very easy to modify to include information that's relevant to what we're talking about here. And you would do that via the column chooser. This is the icon that you would use in order to do that. And if you click on that, you can choose which columns are displayed on the one-click screen. And this includes custom columns as well. So if I click on custom columns, which is this bit over here, we can actually create columns to do and display exactly what we wish. So you can see here I've created a custom column called DSLR, which is basically days since last run. This will display information relating to when the horse was last racing. And what I've also done is, if we look at the middle of the screen here, you can see that we've got the current display. You can create as many different displays as you wish. And here's one I prepared earlier. And you can see on here, we've included the form, the days since last run, and the current age. So you can have all of that information available for you, immediately available on the one-click screen. So we've just added some information to the one-click screen. It's possible to do that on the ladder as well. If we just go to the ladder tab, we've got ladder settings just here, and there are tons of options for you to change and modify the way the ladder behaves. And in here we have additional information. So if I show this area, you can see we've got it set up to do some information about horse racing that's pulled in via TPD. You can see that that information gets displayed there if applicable. But of course, this is generated in a similar manner to the way that we did on the one-click screen. So if we wanted to add an item in here, we could actually go and add preset information, and we could actually add something like the runner's age, for example. And you can see that that appears on the ladder. And if we want to move that to a different row, we could actually do that, put it on its own row, merge it in with something else within here. But you can see that there are lots of options in terms of how we can move that information around and how we can display it. So that's how you do that on the ladder. So if we look at a late season competitive handicap, these are horses where the form lines are really strong, they're high quality horses, and if they're in a competitive handicap where they're equally weighted, then nobody really knows who's going to win. And as a consequence, the market will bounce around in a tight traded range. It's very unusual to see big moves in those types of markets. So you tend to focus your attention on jumping in and out of the market and trading it in that particular manner. However, when we get an early season, preferably a 2-year-old maiden with unraced horses in it, there is no particular opinion within the market, and therefore it drives absolutely massive moves in either direction. So necessarily you would want to trend trade this. You would want to jump on the back of one of those moves. And if you think that, if the market's been piling in for ages and ages, and then the market stalls a little bit, then it's probably likely to pile back out in the other direction as well. So these markets tend to exhibit huge big moves, and they tend to be markets where you would jump in, ride a big trend, and jump out at the other end. Very different from a lot of other markets, especially things like competitive end of season handicaps. So let me give you a scenario here. We're looking down Guardian, we can see a maiden race. We know that the horses are unraced because we've looked at the form. We know that they're 2-year-olds, so they're fresh out on the course itself. We see something being backed in heavily. Maybe we're on the back of that or not. But probably the biggest opportunity that comes around is when we've got horses that have never raced before. You don't know how they're going to react to a particular race course. And it could be that they're talking up the prospects of this horse, and that's really brought the price in. But if the horse begins to play up, or at worst it chucks the jockey, then that price is going to go absolutely flying out in the other direction. So whenever I see a maiden race with unraced horses coming up on the card, I watch the screen intensely to understand exactly what's going on, because any sign of trouble, especially on a shorter priced favourite, and that is going to send the price absolutely flying out. And that's where these big opportunities come at this time of year. That is going to happen at some race course somewhere, and if you're aware of what you're looking at and you're on to the opportunity, then there's no reason why you couldn't profit from it. But it's also important to understand that this varies from one course to the next, because let's say, for example, a maiden horse chucks its jockey and then bolts to the start. If the course is very enclosed, then necessarily the horse will run towards the start where it will be caught. And because the horse has expended some energy, its price is going to drift, and necessarily you'll be able to get on the back of that particular drift. However, if the course is very open, such as a new market, where you've got 2 different courses and then a lot of countryside in between the two, it's very possible that the horse could just disappear off into the distance, at which point it will be withdrawn and your trade will be completely worthless. So that's another factor to take into account here. But fundamentally speaking, if you're looking at a 2-year-old maiden race and the horse begins to play up, its price is going to drift. So at this time of year, we're at the start of the flat turf season, and as a consequence, we will get a lot of new horses out on course. They've never raced before, they've never seen a race course, and you never quite know how they're going to behave. The market's driven purely by emotion and opinion, and therefore you get big moves in these markets. If you've watched my video on volatility, you will know which horses are likely to exhibit the maximum amount of volatility within any particular race, and combine that with a maiden, and you can get some absolutely stupendous market moves. And if you're ready and alert to them, you can jump on the back of that trend, whether it's coming in dramatically or going out dramatically. But I scan down the card every day at this time of the year looking for these particular types of races. And when we're at the preliminaries, I'm keeping a close eye on everything that's going on course, because if any of those horses are playing up, especially a shorter priced favourite, you will get an absolutely massive move within the market. And I know from the date of recording this video, in the next 6 weeks, I will get one of those absolutely massive moves, and it will be one of the best trades of the year. So that's the reason for doing this video, is to highlight that opportunity, to let you know what to look for within the market, and then hopefully you'll pick up on one of those opportunities as well.